The whole souls to deal damage upon its enemies would be a very cool thing to witness inside of a Final Fantasy game.
Souls!
Scythe Wielder will have an attack or multiple attacks where it summons a spectral reaper of sorts that attacks at the same time along with you.
It's a freaking Reaper Spectre! It's a freaking Reaper Spectre! It's look at it! Oh my god, that looks so sick! Yes, 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 yes.
I can very well say that another thing that will be nice to see is soul-like effects coming from your attacks to emphasize the whole Reaper aspect of the job.
Oh my god! Those effects!
The job can actually have something to where like it can go through like stages, and in those stages the character's body would be covered with like a ghostly aura of sorts. It's gotten to the point that I feel numb when thinking about the moment that they'll finally reveal the job, honestly. I have no idea how I'm going to act when they finally showcase it during the fan fest.
It's everything, it's everything, it's everything, it's everything, it's everything, it's everything, it's everything!
I feel like if this was to happen, I would be satisfied. I would be thoroughly satisfied.
And so, as we know, Xenos has been longing for a battle with the Warrior of Light, and this is the job and the weapon, the scythe. That
6 years!
ゼノスがこの武器を握るのはこの後リリースが予定されているパッチ 5.55 黎明の使徒パート2になるようです。
6 years and it's everything
in the second half of the Death and
It's
Beyond,
everything.
series,
It's
patch
everything I
5.55.
ever wanted.
You guys thought that I was not gonna talk about this? Guys, you have absolutely no idea how elated I am about this shit right now. Hello my good friends, this is Chaos Angel here, also known as Lord of Omni, and we're back at it again with a video discussion for you guys. Good god golly goodness, and on the one and only, the freaking main video that I wanted to freaking dedicate to this topic alone, Flippin' Reaper making it into Final Fantasy XIV. Yes. Oh, it's been a long time coming, guys. 6 years for me. It has been a long time coming. So you already know that I'm going to be going into the nitty-gritty of things when it comes to this job. There's no way that I could just wait to freaking make a video talking about this job specifically on a job changes video. It can't happen. I have way too much shit to say. It would essentially make the job changes video longer than anything if I did that. So we're gonna be freaking dedicating my thoughts on the job in here. But before that, let's talk about some stuff of my previous video that I spoke on when it came to it. Pretty much on the thoughts of the fan fest and various other things that I did not actually get to cover as far as the live letter. Many of the things that I had in mind that I wanted to talk about as far as things for Zadnor, and then things as far as like the flippin' housing stuff, new guitar, yada yada yada, and so on and so forth. Many of those things I definitely appreciated. Unfortunately, I was literally out of it that day. You really gotta forgive me, because after the whole entire FanFest Day 1 event and making various videos, pretty much getting the reaction videos done for you guys, I was pretty much kaput. I was done. It was over. And I freaking literally went straight to bed, freaking crashed, and I woke up like 45 minutes before the time that the flippin' live letter was gonna start. So I was literally just out of the zone during the live letter. So apologies that when it came to the live letter reaction, much of my reaction was a little bit one note when it came to the information for Zadnor and many of the other things when it came to Final Fantasy XII references and so on and so forth. My brain was literally just gone. And so processing many of the things that was going on, all of my hype was literally drained from just day one of FanFest from that keynote. So you have to forgive me. It was bad. It was so bad. But anyway, getting into it, yeah, things like as far as the job action changes, that's still going to be coming. I'm going to be talking about that later. It'll be at a later date, so please wait on that. There's still so much that I have to go over when it comes to it. When it comes to 5.55 coming out within a week, so there's that. And then not to mention the fact of the quality of life features that I have to get into, many of the things that I want to talk about for like future stuff that can come to Endwalker, and then of course future expansions. Many things for you guys that I want to discuss along with you and pretty much get into when it comes to it. So please wait on that for me. I'll be getting into it soon enough. And other than that, let's go ahead and actually just get into my thoughts on the Reaper. Now, I jotted some notes down on some of the many things that I'm pretty much going to be talking about here, as far as like the appearance, how in the world it ticked all of my boxes, the freaking stuff that was going on in my Reaper video, my past video, and then of course many of my hopes of what the job will be like when it actually releases. And then we're also going to be talking about some of the things that we actually learned from many of the interviews that UCP had when it came to it. So essentially we got a good amount of stuff for us to talk and discuss about, guys. There's a lot to be had on the subject matter at hand, so if there's anything that you guys would actually like to share, discuss on the topic itself, go ahead and share it down in the comments down below. If not that, you can join us in the Discord channel, Angel Sanctuary, and chat amongst us, myself, the members, and so on and so forth, and just join in on the hype of Reaper and various other stuff when it comes to Final Fantasy XIV. We got cookies, but not really. Don't expect to actually get cookies. All jokes aside though, I do believe it's about time that we go ahead and get into the nitty-gritty of the nitty-gritty and start talking about my thoughts, my impressions, and my expectations for the newly added melee job known as the Reaper for Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker. Let's get it. Now, to the job. Getting into the job. Going over from like the previous video on my thoughts from the FanFest, let's do like a run over of some of the things that I said in that video real quick. First, let's talk about the aesthetics. I absolutely love how this job has a similar effect going on, from the blue effect going to red, similar to how Dragoon does it with the dragon eyes and so on and so forth, with the blue aura going to red. But in this case, like, it's more so from the particle effects of the job's attacks, with its cyan black with a tinge of green going to red and black when it's possessed by the avatar. I absolutely love every single thing about this. Again, I love everything about this. It literally captures the aesthetics relating to souls in pretty much everything that I ever wanted the effects to be like. They even made it so much more perfect than what I actually imagined in my head, to be perfectly honest. Like, I literally imagined it so differently, but it's just so much more better than what I imagined. And just like to crank it up even further, the fact that this job literally pulls a fucking Ranjit going full on Gugamats on us was like the least bit expected thing that I've ever thought was going to happen. But good Lord, I just love everything about it. I love every single thing about this. I freaking love the fact that they actually thought about doing this, because, ooh buddy, I'm going to be going on a full-on tangent when we actually discuss about this aspect right here. Now, it was stated in an interview that this ability right here may or may not be finalized come time Endwalker hits, but I'm just gonna say right now, I know that they'll make this work. There's no way that they'll pull a Dark Knight on this one after literally showing it during the like reveal trailer. But I think it's more so of the fact that as far as its conception and exactly how it's going to work, it may not be what it is described in the interview that Yoshi P talked about when it comes to it. So it may end up being different, but it will still likely be the same transformation aspect that they have in mind, because they already pointed out how the thought of this job was already conceptualized, and making it was actually fairly smooth when it came to it. They pretty much had a pretty good idea of exactly what they want this job to be. So with that in mind, I'm pretty sure that they will be able to get a grasp of how to make the transformation bit work when it comes to gameplay. But getting into this a bit more, this is like the first ever job that we have ever received that changes your character into a completely different character model with new moves and all. And I gotta say, it literally opens a whole new door to like other possibilities for all of the other jobs. Like, considering how many new things end up going to other jobs, like for example how Dark Knight and Machinist get this like summoning of an automaton and shadow that attacks on its own accord and so on and so forth, I can see this possibly fixing a certain pet job or jobs in the long run. But we'll be getting into that in like the job changes video later on in the future, so we're just gonna put a pin on that. For now, I've been curious about the transformation, the look, and exactly who in the world this could be that we turn into. Is it us? Like, at first, I thought our character changes ever so slightly in the face, but looking at the video, the character model completely changes entirely. So that makes you wonder, will this be covered in the story? Sort of. Will we likely learn who this could be? Like, could it be the possible theory that I had in mind, wherein the avatar is essentially the 13th shard of the Warrior of Light turned voicent? And this could be like a visual representation of that individual? So many questions, honestly. But it's like, as I look closely at the video, it still has aspects of like our previous character, so it seems like it still has some individuality to it. But again, it's like, I have so many questions, and the hopes of getting them answered in a job quest makes this very exciting, to be perfectly honest. Now, another thing that I wonder is how it will work between other races. I pointed out how in some ways, when looking closely, it still has like its individuality, right? Well, it was stated in the interview with Yoshi P that unlike the avatar itself, the character getting possessed will actually reflect the race your character is, which honestly is very baffling. Very nice, but it's like, I wonder exactly how far that will go. Like, will my dark skin Ezekiel turn into a dark skin avatar with a cloak on him with red eyes and dark aura? Because let me tell you right now, you and I both know that if that actually happens, I will lose my flippin' mind. It's just, I don't know, but it's something that I felt I need to ask, because this is just like, it's the first time that we're ever seeing this happen for a job. So I just have so many questions when it comes to just this ability alone. But I think that's all the questions I can really like point out at this point. I'll have to hold them till Endwalker when I go about doing the quest, and as far as like the media tour, when we actually get in depth on the job, when it, yeah, I don't know. I just don't know. My only thing is, though, as I said before, when it comes to like the quests itself, I don't think we'll be getting many job quests due to this job starting at level 70. As we all know, with Shadowbringers bringing in role quests, job quests no longer has any new stories to tell from like 70 to 80. And there will likely only be like 180 quests similar to every other job for the Reaper as well as for the Sage. We will really never know until release. We don't know exactly how they're going to go about doing this. But to me, I believe that even though this is the case, I feel like they will at least have 4 quests in total, as far as the one unlocking the job, and then another to go over the job story a bit, and then one last one on freaking level 80, and probably another one at level 90, though I highly doubt it at this point. Like, to say that we could get at least 5 quests to be more balanced with like the other quest lines that the other jobs have, I don't know. 4 is like really all I can think about that they'll do at this point, and I just can't really see much of that happening even still. But good lord, it would be nice if they could. But we're just gonna have to wait and see, and the wait is gonna be oh so damn long. Oh my god. Anyway, another thing on the story bits I'm hoping for is the fact of Ishikawa stepping in to do the story for Reaper. Cause my lord, Heavenly Father, please, like, if they could just give this job that juicy Dark Knight touch, I will be satisfied. Cause it's like I need it in my life. I need more of it in my life. Just the thought of having another dark and yet meaningful story similar to Dark Knight just gives me so much excitement as far as storytelling goes. And I know for a fact Ishikawa will do that story justice. And yet I just don't want her to overwork herself. Like, she already has Endwalker under her belt, even though we will not be having any belts during Endwalker. Anyway, moving along, actually, let's go ahead and get into the gameplay now. I actually want to get into the stuff that we actually saw in the trailer, as I did not get into that during the keynote video discussion. But first, let's get into the Yoshi P interview on the job. Yoshi talks about how a job wielding a scythe has pretty much been requested by the West actually for about 3 to 4 years, and I actually laugh at that with my 6 years since Dark Knight became a thing, cause let me tell you, I may not have been very vocal about it, though that may be the case. My hopes and prayers have been going ever since then. Like, I've been praying for this job for just the longest of times to actually become a reality, and we're finally here. We're flippin' finally here. But anyway, my years of waiting aside, Yoshi has stated that this job is obviously not a pet job like Summoner and Scholar, and he even put Dark Knight and Machinist in that category as well, which was very interesting. I don't know whether or not if that was a translation error, but anyway, I'm glad that this isn't a pet job. I didn't want it to be a pet job, and I just wanted it to be exactly as I stated in my hopes for the Reaper video, as you will have a Spectral Reaper, or in this case, the Void Avatar, fight alongside you by cooldowns. And that is exactly what we see here. When the Avatar is summoned, the Reaper animates with a blue effect that you would usually see with OGCDs, meaning that this will essentially be a cooldown. One thing that I'm glad that they didn't do with the ability is making it an instant global cooldown similar to like the Summoner's Eggy Assaults. That would not be a good idea for the overall flow of the job, and thankfully they did not go about doing that, as we see here. The job activates the cooldown when using another weapon skill within a combo in the trailer, so that pretty much tells us that the Avatar will essentially be an off global cooldown ability, at the very least. Now, going back to Yoshi P, he actually stated that the job is going to be wholly unique and original in how it plays, though I kinda have a hard time believing that, but we'll exactly see how that goes. The high school syndrome nonsense aside, the job gradually getting stronger as the battle goes on, or the fact that the gauge fills as you are essentially attacking, pretty much being similar to many other flippin' jobs like samurai and ninja. This idea is very interesting, and yet I can't help but think that it's a little bit similar to Monk's Grease Lightning, and that in and of itself could very well be a detriment to the overall job, with it essentially losing its DPS potency after using said gauge. Now, if the job already has like high DPS at the start but gradually gets stronger above that, I might think differently on this. Though I say this, we don't entirely have a bright idea of exactly what Yoshi P means on the job's mechanics when it comes to it, so all of this is just speculation at this point. Now, leading on to more of the attacks, from what we've seen of the video, the job has two combos that most melee jobs always have. It's just that the one puzzling thing about these combos, however, is that they seem fairly short in comparison. Like, for instance, it seems as though the job is taking a more dancer approach of having like two weapon skill combos of sorts. This may or may not be the case, and they could be hiding like a third attack as well. Still, it's left up in the air. But other than that, what we see here is literally just a two different 1-2 hit combo as a melee, which is very curious. However, the more curious aspect of this job is the possession mode. Again, they said the way on how this is going to work is technically in concept, but still, even though that this is in the testing phase, I just can't help but want to be sure that we'll get this in the final game when it comes to it. Like, I really think that when they show this and they go in depth, it will likely still be the same when it comes to the gameplay aspect of the concept of the possession mode that they showed us here. But going into the actual gameplay aspect of it all, I have seen many have thought of this skill being a sort of inner release, and I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to be flat out disappointed if they actually go about doing that to another job. It is very uninspiring to go about doing this to another job, and I feel that it's not going to happen because Yoshi P has already stated that he wanted this job to be treated with original concepts. So, with this in mind, I am going to say with confidence that the whole inner release idea of repeating the same GCD is not going to happen. Instead, I think about it this way. When the job transforms, many of its default weapon skills actually changes along with the ability. Not to mention will the GCDs change, but the old GCDs will change as well. As far as the one that we saw that was being repeated over and over and over again, if we were to look closer at the ability, the move itself is literally just a GCD. It has the yellow effect on it, but I feel as though the actual whole repeating aspect that they were doing was literally just showing off the attack and just how devastating the likelihood of the other attacks will essentially end up being. That's pretty much what I have in mind here. I feel like this was just more of an editing tactic and not so much as to make us think that this is a whole inner release type ability. I really don't believe that. So with this in mind, I feel that once the job transforms, there will be a whole new, like, different looking combo attacks replacing the base ones. Think similar to like Machinist's shot mastery trait, where essentially like attacks change into completely different looking skills with different potencies. I feel like that is essentially what the like possession mode is going to be right there and then. I can see the job having this done for both its single target as well as its AoE combos, along with the special OGCDs to weave between them. Those in and of itself, I feel, will also have single and AoE versions as well. And that reminds me, the avatar. Its single target and AoE abilities, as far as the OGCDs, I feel like those will also have like single target and AoE abilities. The one ability that we saw obviously will not be the only one that we'll get. I'm sure that there will be plenty of other avatar abilities that we'll be able to use in the long run, as this job looks like it will be packing a lot of moves with the avatar given its gameplay focus. And speaking of packing, how much damage do we think that this job will be packing? I am going to be completely honest with you guys. After looking at this trailer now, I really feel that this job is going to be a pure melee DPS. Probably not in the same vein as Samurai, as much as I would very much love that to happen. But let's be honest here, if that actually happened, Samurai would cease to exist. Let's be real here. Samurai will cease to exist if that actually happens. So, in the long run, I can see this happening. The job will likely be above Monk, but lower than Samurai in terms of DPS scaling. A change from my previous speculation where the job is essentially below the Monk, but above Dragoon in terms of DPS. And honestly, I think that this is a fair assumption. I feel like this is fairly appropriate. Not exactly what I really want, but I will be fine with this. I don't think we entirely need more synergy with melee, as we have a good number of them at this point. Monk with its damage increasing Brotherhood and HP recovery mantra, Dragoon with his crit increasing battle litany, as well as the single target damaging increasing Dragon Sight, and of course, last but not least, Ninja's oh so desirable trick attack. With these varieties of buffs, what else could they even do for Reaper for the job to even stick out? I honestly can't really think much of anything that would be even original or unique for this job. And I'm just going to point this out now. For the love of all that is holy, don't even think of typing battle rays in the comments, because I, for one, just don't see that happening. Or at the very least, I don't actually want it to happen, because that will just kill the very flow and the idea of the job in essence. I just cannot see a job that is said to rely on an avatar to increase his own power throughout the fight to have a battle raise. So just don't, please. It's as ridiculous of an idea as the job being called Templar, which to this day I never understood exactly how that even came to conception, when we all knew that this job was going to be wielding a scythe of all things. A Templar with a scythe. I don't get it. Anyway, tangent aside, I really hope that as far as DPS goes, they will continue to mix things up before they finally unveil the inner workings of the job come the media tour. I have every faith that they'll pull this job off in the long run. The fact that they're going so far as to make each and every race have a different transformation from each other actually baffles me to no end, and literally it just shows the effort that they are willing to go to make the job for each respective player character. And I, for one, just can't wait to see Ezekiel and my other ults in that transformation. The pose, the aura, everything. Oh my god, I wonder what the look of its like walking and running animation will look like when you're transformed. Oh my god, I just have so many flipping questions when it comes to this ability. You just have no idea. But I just have no choice but to wait for the time to come that we'll finally be able to see this job in full. My god, my height levels are just going off the charts, my good friends, I swear. I will indeed say that it's literally over 9,000 at this point. Oh my god. But other than that, that's about all I can really share on my thoughts at this point. All my thoughts and speculations for this job, for the time being, is pretty much this. There will be plenty more come the job action trailer video or the job action changes video, where I'll go into all of the jobs and pretty much my hopes and wishes on the very changes for them. So please be patient until then. We have a lot of time before it comes to it. And so with that in mind, guys, I leave you to this. Let me know of your thoughts of everything I have said here, whether you disagree or agree, any of that nonsense, and any other aspects that you want to share of the job down in the comments. Let's discuss. And if you want to discuss even further, I have a link of my Discord in the description. Please join in on the hype. We have so many individuals of like-minded who are really excited for Endwalker, and of course the Reaper, and of course the Sage. We can't forget about the Sage. As much as we're hype about the Reaper, we can't forget about the Sage. But other than that, I leave you with it. You have a very nice day, nice night, nice morning, nice afternoon. You all take care, and peace out.